Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sai Kiran. Guys, today is day 2 in our Kubernetes series. We are going to deploy our own Kubernetes cluster with the help of KOPS. KOPS is nothing but Kubernetes operations. Again, there are many ways to deploy your Kubernetes cluster, but the reason why I have chosen to use KOPS is, see, in real time, they are going to deploy the proper production grade cluster with the help of KOPS itself only, because in the back end when you deploy it with co-ops, in the back end it's going to create auto scaling groups, right? And if someone tries to delete your master node, and if someone tries to delete your worker node, with the help of enhanced monitoring, auto scaling group is going to create instances again, right? So for that reason I have selected cops here. So let's go and deploy our own Kubernetes cluster, right? So this is the management server. Before coming to the session, I have created one management server. Management server is nothing special, guys. I'm not going to log into my master node, and I'm not going to log into my worker node, and I'm going to manage each and everything from my management server itself only. This is nothing special, just T2 medium instance, that's it, not more than that, right? And here are the steps I have written each and everything clearly. The very first thing what you require is a DNS name, right? If anyone is willing to do practicals, you should definitely have one DNS name, guys. Try to purchase .xyz, it's very cheap, and it's good if you are buying the domain name, because in future when we are learning about the ingress controllers, then the domain name is again required. So better buy one domain name like .xyz or something. It's very cheap, 116 rupees or something. So once after you are buying the domain name, I do have my own domain name already, which is cloudvishwakarma.com. For the whole Kubernetes session, I'm going to use this. And the second thing is, once after you're purchasing the domain name, once after you're creating your hosted zones, you are going to see something called name servers here, right? How to integrate these name servers with GoDaddy? Actually mine is GoDaddy, so if you wanted to integrate these name servers with GoDaddy, I request you to go through one video. I'm going to pin that video on the top. That is the very first video when I started my YouTube channel, and I showed how to integrate these name servers with your GoDaddy. Got it? This is the very first step. And the next step, you are supposed to create one S3 bucket to store our state, COPS exact state, right? Where is my S3 bucket? Here it is. Create bucket, general purpose. Scroll down, don't do anything. Please sign in again. Okay, I'm going to reload. Okay, I am going to create the bucket with my domain name itself only. I'm directly giving my domain name here, cloudvishwakarma.in. Don't do any changes. Come down and simply click on create bucket, right? So once the bucket has been created, what was the next step? We are supposed to create one IAM role and assign to a EC2 instance. Which EC2 instance? To the management server. Okay, IAM role, you can select the policies of EC2 VPC, but I'm going to select um, all administrator access. I'm going to delete it, so it's okay after this session. So this was the role I have created, COPS role, but I'll show you how to create a role. Select EC2. The reason why we are selecting EC2, because we are going to attach this role to our EC2 instance. Click on next, select administrator access, or if you wanted to select individual access, then go for EC2 and VPC, right? Select and then come down, simply click on next and create. So I do already have my role here, COPS role. Now what I'm going to do, I'll come back, I'll select my instance, actions, security, modify IAM role, refresh, and I'm going to attach my IAM role to my instance, right? So once this is done, what was the next step again? Create a EC2 instance and generate SSH. Okay, I understand. Let's connect to our EC2 instance. Connect SSH hyphen keys and enter, 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 enter. That's it. If you watch here carefully, cd dot ssh ls-al, I can see my public key here dot pub, right? As I said before, these keys will be used by cops, and cops will apply these keys to our all the nodes. Got it? Okay, generating ssh keys were also done. And what's the next step here? Download cops and kubectl. And okay, so go to cd user local bin, come back to the browser here, cops github, In the right side you can able to see 201 releases. I'm not going to go with the latest version, guys. I'm going to go with the n minus 1, which is the before version. So it's 128. Okay, I'll just go with 128. Scroll down, we need AMD 64, COPS Linux AMD 64, copy link address, come back to your instance. So wget and paste it, enter. I'm going to change the name ls-al, move COPS to KOPS. That's it. Give the permissions. Also download kubectl. Select, copy the command. This single command is enough. Come back to your instance, paste it, enter. ls-al chmod 777 kubectl cd cops hyphen version. I'm sorry, hyphen. No, you're not supposed to use hyphen. Cops version. Okay, 1.28. Okay, 1.30. Fine. This step was also done. Now, what was the next step we are supposed to do? Okay, download kubectl and give permissions. This step is done, and edit .bash rc and add all environment variables. Okay, guys, this is quite an important step. Make sure that you're changing the cluster name, S3 bucket name appropriately. Okay, just copy these environment variables and paste it in your .bash rc, nano .bash rc, enter. You will understand why I'm using this .bash rc now. Just watch it, paste it here. If I wanted to give any alias, this is actually a Linux feature, alias ku equal to. So I'm not going to enter the kubectl command again and again. So I'll simply enter ku. That's it. Control X Y. Now once this is done, make sure that you are giving source.bash rc command, or you can also exit and log in back. Then it will also work. Source.bash rc. Enter. Okay, now if I enter env, I can able to see all my environmental variables here. Got it? Ku get pods. Okay, nothing is there, we haven't installed anything. That's the reason why it is saying like this. Okay, it's expected. Come back here again. What was the next step? After copying, create the cluster using kops and generate a file and save it care. Okay, guys, my bad here. Actually, what happened is yesterday I have raised a request for the AWS. This is my request numbers. If I open this request number, actually what happened is they are allowing me to use only 8 CPUs. 8 CPUs is not sufficient for us because I wanted to deploy total 6 nodes. 6 nodes means T2 medium. Each T2 medium contains 2 CPUs, right? 6 to 12. Total I required 12 CPUs. I requested for 14 CPUs actually, but they have denied and they have given me only 8 CPU usage. See, they said as discussed, the nature would be reviewed by our service team. No, this is the one. I'm sorry, but at this time we are unable to approve your service quota. I already told them that I'm willing to cover the expenses, but still they didn't accept my request. And I also had a chat with one of the guy, and he also said it's not possible, but still he will send for the review. So it will take exactly 48 hours, it seems. Yeah, here it is. So I decided not to waste the time. It's okay. However, this is our local environment, right? So we do have 8 CPUs, which means I'm going to create 3 instances. One is for master, rest of the 2 is for worker node, and one is for management server. So total for 2 is 8. 8 instances, I mean 8 CPUs we do have, right? So what was the next step here? We are going to deploy the Kubernetes cluster now. So let's go step by step. Make sure that you're changing the names appropriately. What was the cluster name? This is my cloud.vishwakarma.in is my cluster name. And what was my S3 bucket name here? Cloud.vishwakarma.in hyphen zone equal to US East 1A, US East 1B. I do have only 2 worker nodes, right? For that 1A and 1B, and master node is also going to deploy it 1A, right? Node count is nothing but worker node count, right? Hyphen control plane count equal to 1, which means master node count. hyphen hyphen node size equal to, I'm going to take T3 medium, hyphen hyphen control plane size equal to, I'm to take as T3 medium. Got it? And control plane zone equal to US East 1A, which means master node is on US East 1A, and the size of the control plane, which is master plane, is 10 GB. This is the volume, and the worker node volume is also 10 GB. And public keys, I told you already what exactly this does. And DNS zone, this is my DNS name. First, I'm going to take one dry run. I'm going to copy all this under YAML file. Copy it, come back to your instance. This is my instance. Paste everything here, enter. It says error reading SSH file, open root, no such file or directory. Okay, I have to change the name here. I think id underscore rsa.pub, but here if you watch cd.ssh, okay, this is the key name actually, id underscore ed25519.pub. Okay, no problem. Paste it, save it, and then enter again. Enter. Okay, I'm going to enter it again. See, you are going to get one YAML file. Copy this entire YAML file, because this is just a dry run. Copy this, come back here. I'm going to create a file called config.yaml, and I'm going to paste here. This is our entire Kubernetes configuration file, guys. If you wanted to change the subnets, you can also change here. See, mine is one is at US East 1A, and the other subnet is US East 1B. Now I'm going to change this. For example, 172, right? 192.168.0.0/16 and 192.168.1.0/24 and 182 dot. I'm changing it normally, guys. If you don't want to change, you can ignore it. You can leave it as it is by default. Nothing will happen. I'm just changing it just to show you. 192.168.2.0. I want it to be everything in a line, and 24. See, 1.0 is at 1A, 2.0 is at 1B. US is 1B. Right, in real time what will happen is, see, there is an image here. This is a master node actually. There is an image here, Ubuntu images hvm ssd. But in real time what will happen is, if you have watched my AWS series, I have discussed something about HashiCorp Packer. Okay, I'm going to pin the video on top. If possible, watch it, because in real time you are not going to use any kind of instances, guys. Instead, what you will do is, your team will be hardened one AMI image actually. You're going to install all the tools, and you're going to harden one AMI image, and you're going to automate to deploy that image into multiple availability zones with the help of HashiCorp Packer actually. Okay, so I have also did a video on HashiCorp Packer. I'm going to pin that video on top. You can go and watch it. Right, and yeah, if you come down completely, see, it is using this key actually, SSH hyphen. I can see that this key is wrong. SSH-825559. Just hold on, guys, 1 second. ls-al cat id underscore, enter. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's deploy the cluster. We'll see if it works or not. Control A, Control C. Come back to your instance again. Create a new file. Nano cluster.yml. Enter and paste all this config file. Control X, Y. Now deploy the cluster. What is the command to deploy cluster? Kops create hyphen f cluster.yaml. Kops create hyphen f cluster.yaml. Enter. Okay, it says kops update cluster hyphen f name. Copy this and paste here. Make sure that you're giving hyphen admin rights. Okay, it says suggestions validate cluster. Okay, kops validate cluster hyphen wait 10 minutes. Copy this and paste it here. So it's going to deploy the cluster. See, three node it is. One is master node and control plane is master node, and the rest two are worker nodes. And if you still wanted to check, you can come back here and then you can refresh. See, three nodes total: control plane, master node, worker node, and then worker node. USS 1A, 1A, and 1B. Okay, let it come. Meanwhile, what we shall do is we'll try to understand what exactly is a pod, guys. When I was learning Kubernetes, I was so much confused. What is the difference for these pods, nodes, and why they are not calling as containers in Docker? They have called as containers, but here why they are calling as nodes and pods, right? So let's understand what exactly is a pod. Imagine pod is nothing but it's going to contain multiple containers, guys, right? So this is container 1, and let's say this is container 2, and this is container 3. Okay, this is the main container. If I'm saying main container, I'll tell you what exactly it is. This is, let's say for example, main container, and this is sidecar container. We do have a session on sidecar container, so don't worry, we are going to discuss each and everything. This is a sidecar container. This is also a sidecar container. If I'm saying main container means all the application will be running on this container, let's say all our main data, or I'll say app container. And this sidecar container is mainly used to collect the logs. For example, this is for collecting the logs, and this is for what? This is for a proxy. If you're not understanding, don't worry, we are going to discuss about what exactly were the pods tomorrow and replica sets and all these things. I'm not going to jump onto the deployments directly. I'm going to explain what are these pods, nodes, replica sets, namespaces, and all these things. Then we'll be understanding each and everything, right? So one container is used for logs, one container is the main container, which is our app container, and the other sidecar container is for proxy. This entire thing is called pod. Okay, I hope you understand now, because during the time of learning, I was so confused between these terminologies: pods, nodes, and containers. Got it? If you do have any doubts, please put it in the comment section, guys. Let's go and check the cluster is up or not. Okay, it's still deploying. Let it deploy. The cluster has been successfully deployed. It says your cluster cloud is ready. If you watch carefully here, I'm not going to log in to any of the instances. I'm going to manage each and everything from my management server itself only. KU get pods. Anything is there? Nothing is there. KU get nodes. KU means I have already. If you have seen .bash rc, there I have given alias instead of entering kubectl. If I enter kubectl, it will also work, because again and again I cannot enter kubectl, so I'm just simply giving KU get nodes hyphen o white. So see, my this is my control plane, right? It's on 192.168.1.9, and one my worker node is on 1.9, and 2.9 2.234 is on another worker node. Got it? So once this is done, you should not decide that the cluster is up and running good. You have to do some smoke testing. Ku cluster hyphen info, it says control plane is running. Okay, core DNS is running. Nothing is there, everything is working fine. Okay, you get NS. See, there are default namespace, node lease, and then cube public and cube system. These are the four namespaces right now, right? Namespaces are nothing but, let's say for example, we do have three teams, guys. One is Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie. Okay, all these three teams were working on different projects, and all were using this single Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so then what we are going to do is we are going to isolate them each other. We'll make sure that they are not having any communication with one namespace to the other namespace. But if you still want to have some communication between these namespaces, we are going to use something called network policies. right? So don't worry, we are going to do each and everything. This is just a Kubernetes installation session, but still I'm going to give you a small heads up, but later we are going to learn each and everything very clearly. Okay, so if I enter again ku get pods, nothing is there. If I enter ku get pods hyphen namespace cube system, enter, see all my pods are here. AWS cloud controller, node termination, Kilium is a network actually, core DNS controller, CSI, etcd, kops, I mean this kops controller, API server, cube controller, and cube scheduler. Okay, you get pods hyphen namespace cube hyphen system hyphen o wide grep hyphen I API server. See, API server is running it. API server is running at 1.109. Watch carefully this IP. Each and every component in the control plane will be running on the same IP address. I'm going to enter etcd. See, etcd is also at 109. And I'm going to enter, what was the other component? Cloud control, right? See, cloud control manager is also running at 1.109. And what was the another component we do have? API, etcd, cloud control manager, and then scheduler. See, scheduler is also running at 1.109. Got it? But if you wanted to deploy any resource, there are two ways of deploying the resource, guys. The very first one is, I'm going to write here, the very first one is imperative, right? What exactly is this imperative? I'll tell you. If you come back here to your Kubernetes cluster, kubectl run test pod 1 hyphen hyphen image. I'm going to give nginx latest image hyphen hyphen dry hyphen run hyphen o YAML, enter. See, it's going to give the YAML file. Actually, we will be copying this YAML file from the Google, right? So there is no point of copying again and again from the Google. If you enter this command, you're going to get the YAML file directly. Just copy this YAML file, come back to your Visual Studio Code, create a file called testpod1.yaml, enter, and then paste it here. I'm going to remove this. So API version kind was pod metadata. I'll remove this. You will slowly understand. This is actually a small YAML manifest file. Name test pod. Okay, we doesn't require this till resource. I'm going to remove till here. So this is called actually a imperative way of deploying. This is imperative. And what was the other way of deploying? That is something called declarative using YAML or JSON. Now I'm going to run here kubectl. I'll remove this, enter. Okay, you get pods. See, one is creating 01, enter. One is creating. If I enter you get pod hyphen o wide, I can see exactly on which instance it is running on. It's running on 2.224, which is on worker node. This is one way of deploying, and I'm going to show you another way. Come back here and change the names. Instead of test pod 1, I'm going to select the names. I'll change this to test pod 2. Okay, save it, copy this till here, come back here, nano test pod 2 dot yaml, enter, paste the file here, control X Y, just simply enter kubectl apply hyphen f test pod 2 dot yaml, enter. It's going to create the another pod. Now if you enter again you get pods. See, another pod is running, which is pod 2. Okay, you get pods hyphen o white, enter. right? This is the way of deploying. Yes, I'm just showing you normally, but in deployments we are going to learn each and everything. But there is a small problem here. If you keep on deploying like this in real time, it will not work. Actually, in real time, I'll show you what strategies we do follow. Select this, control D, and then test pod 3. Okay, we are not going to follow the imperative or declarative. Simply we'll copy this echo. Did I change the names? Okay, 3 echo. I'm sorry, echo, paste it, close the single quote, pipeline, ku apply hyphen f hyphen enter. See, it has been ku get pods. See, it has been creating the test pod 3. See, again, I'm not telling anyone to strictly follow this process, but I'm telling actually I do this in the real time. I'm not going to follow this declarative or imperative. So I'll simply enter echo and then I'll paste it and then I'll run it. If I wanted to do any changes, I'm going to do the changes. Hyphen o white. Okay, one is running on 224, right? Oh, one more pod is running on master node. Fine. Okay, so this is what I wanted to explain you guys, and this is how you have to do the smoke testing. And I'm going to update all these files in our Kubernetes repository in GitHub. Guys, make sure that you're doing the practicals. If anyone is watching and if anyone is trying to learn Kubernetes, trust me guys, if you're not practicing, then you will definitely not able to crack the interview, because interviews will be mainly asking the scenario based questions itself only. And whatever I'm showing, just follow blindly and make sure that you are doing the practicals. Just 116 rupees, this what it is called, this domain name. So don't think for 116 rupees. Don't take me wrong, but don't just think for this 116 rupees and ignore buying this domain name. Buy the domain name, do the practicals daily. If you do have any doubts, I am not charging anything. We do have one Telegram channel. Everyone is active there. If you post the issue there, then everyone is going to respond to you back. Got it? Thank you so much. And if anyone is willing to learn Kubernetes, please let them know that we have started Kubernetes. And also do the practicals and post it on the LinkedIn. Whatever I said today, how to deploy, just deploy it. And if you wanted to try it from the Terraform, just try it and post it on the LinkedIn that you did this, so that recruiters will be watching and you'll be getting calls. And I've also seen that the calls have been increased. So please do practicals and post it on the LinkedIn. And guys, one more thing I wanted to show you, I have forgot it. Don't just delete the instances directly from the console. See here, we do have instances, right? If you wanted to delete the cluster, don't just select and terminate it, because in the backend auto scaling group will be there. Even if you delete after 30 to 40 seconds, a new instance will be coming up. So don't delete from here. Simply come back to the console and enter kops delete cluster. Enter. So it's going to delete the entire cluster. Once it is done, delete the S3 bucket also, and you can leave the DNS name as it is. It's not going to charge anything, right? Thank you so much guys, have a nice day. We'll see you in the tomorrow session. Bye.